The USS Spruance arrived at the Norfolk Naval Base around 6 o'clock tonight, carrying most of the crew of the Hellenic carrier. The Greek ship collided shortly after 7 this morning with an American cargo ship, the Lash Atlantico, just off the coast of Cape Charles. All but one of the rescued crew members were Pakistani. The helmsman said the fog cut visibility to a minimum, and it was only a short time after the captain noticed the American ship on radar that the two ships collided.
I looked, bosun say, a ship coming from this side. Ship coming from this side.
From starboard?
It's coming from starboard side. And after 2 minutes, no, after 1 minute, ship like this.
The crewman went on to explain that they scrambled to lifeboats for safety, realizing that their vessel had a 35-foot gash on the right side. It was an hour-and-a-half wait before they were rescued by another ship, the Eastern Saga.
And we are just lying in the center of the two ships. They don't leave the boat's rope, and they don't give the order to let go and go away. Just we are right, left, starboard port, just lying that.
The Spruance was on maneuvers about 50 miles away when the distress call came in. The Greek ship was dripping diesel, and even though it was listing at last report, officials think it can be repaired for a return to the sea. Kathy Mitkiff, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Norfolk.
Damage to the 469-foot ship looked extensive. Hard hit were the Hellenic's several decks, crunched like wads of paper, and these yellow king posts bashed to one side when the other ship, the Lash Atlantico, rammed into the Hellenic's starboard side. Workers from a cleanup firm had their hands full vacuuming up the leaking fuel. It was kept from spreading out into the open waters by these orange container booms, which surrounded the Greek ship on all sides. As divers surveyed the underwater damage, investigators from the Coast Guard's Marine Safety Office arrived on the scene to look at everything and anything.
Anything from equipment being faulty to people not doing their jobs properly, to anything else that might come up in the course of the investigation that would have a bearing on why the accident occurred.
The Hellenic was on its way to Baltimore when the collision occurred during heavy fog conditions in the waters near Cape Henry. Several members of the mostly Pakistani crew were brought back to Norfolk on the Navy destroyer the Spruance and were understandably shaken by what had happened. The Coast Guard will conduct a formal hearing next week to find out exactly why the two ships collided.
Ship officials here say they don't know how long the Hellenic will stay here or where it will go to be repaired. They say their main concerns are how much the estimated damage is and whose fault it was the ships collided. Penny Williams, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Norfolk.
The oil began washing ashore this morning, 2 days after the collision of the Hellenic carrier and Lash Atlantico off the coast of Cape Henry. Authorities say the Hellenic lost about 150,000 gallons of light diesel fuel. Most of that dissipated in the surf. It was the 5,000 gallons of crude within the diesel that made its way to the beaches. The 10 to 15-foot wide oil line stretches from Bodie Island 7 miles north. The owners of the Hellenic have accepted responsibility for the pollution and have already contracted with a Tidewater firm to begin cleaning the mess up, a process that should take about a week.
As bad as the situation is, the Coast Guard says it could have been worse. The oil slick just missed a stretch of beach populated by an endangered species of waterfowl.
The beach at Nags Head was closed because of the oil, but fortunately few people planned on using it since the tourist season is still a few weeks away. The Coast Guard labels this a small spill, leaving us all to imagine how bad a large one would be. Joel Rubin, Area 10 Eyewitness News, Nags Head, North Carolina.